will be my greatest performance.
Here we go.
We came, we saw, we kicked it.
And we are here at least for Saturday morning. Mornings on the Beach is the name of this show. My name is Danny Lemos, and along with my co-hosts,
I'm Mike Stark.
I'm Melanie Ray.
and today on the show, do you have kids? Do you have maybe a favorite one of them? Well, research says that you do. We'll get into it coming up on the show, as well as
I have an interview with one of my dear friends, Man About Town, local performer, Brody Fitzpatrick, on his experience here in Long Beach.
it's going to be great. Stay right there for that. In the meantime, we've been away from you. We've been airing some greatest hits in the last couple of weeks. And
So
there've been
many greatest hits.
Yeah, and there are so many moments that we've had over the last 15 years. I can hardly believe it.
Wow.
But we do. There was reason for some of that, and it started with well, I'll say, in the words of the immortal James Brown, Papa's got a brand new hip, right, Mike?
Yeah, exactly.
Ow!
Ow is right. Ow is right. Yeah, I did have hip surgery a week ago. Well, as of this taping, a week ago yesterday, I had hip surgery, but I'm on the mend already. You had it before, and you said it was going to be a quicker situation. I'd had it 13 years ago, but I was in the hospital 3 days the first time, and it seemed like it took forever, but I can see that the way they do it now is differently, I guess.
I know, it's so easy.
Yeah,
It's easy, yeah.
it's not easy. I won't go that far, but it is.
I'm not a surgeon.
is.
They get in there with like little sticks and do their thing. I had
Yeah.
a tendon replaced in my hip a year ago. And it's outpatient. It's crazy that they're just in. And then they sent me a picture of the cadaver tendon. So there's a
Why?
dead person tendon in my body. I don't
Wow.
know why, but it had the initials of the doctor on it
Wow.
in my body.
No
so
way.
I wonder if they're spreading messages to each other. Like I wonder if they're little gags. Like, you know what I wrote on this lady's hip?
Or it's a code. They put it all
It's a
together
code.
in the x-ray room, and they've got a code. That's what it'd be for me. Oh, my goodness.
All I got's a big piece of metal in my leg now.
Yeah, and a
With
couple
whose
of
name on it?
Yeah.
and a couple of pat downs at the airport. That's to come.
Right.
Yeah, you go
I
through
had that before with the other knee and the other hip. So that's just more of the same.
Well, and since
Long
we
way to go for a pat down, Mike.
and since we've been off the air, I also had a medical appointment. It was first going to be a colonoscopy, and I had to do a 2-day prep. So you can imagine, I stopped eating on Sunday night. Then I did all the liquids on Monday, and then nothing
Nice.
on Tuesday. You know how that is, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I started feeling really weird around Wednesday morning, but that was the day of the procedure. I figured by 11 o'clock, 11:30, I'd be done, and I'd be at Denny's having a stack of pancakes. Well, that's not how it turned out, because apparently while I was in the operating room, my heart started making these strange little beats. And I kind of liked it because it was syncopated. It was kind of like boom, 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 boom. And
So this is when you were conscious?
yeah. And they go, that's not normal. I go, it is for me. However, they didn't want to release me, obviously liability and all that stuff. So they say, well, we're going to check you out. And then they say, stop. About 10 minutes later, when they're about to draw blood, stop. We're not going to draw it here. We're going to draw it in an emergency room. And I'm like, what? Well, we're going to go take you to emergency. That way, if they need to do anything, they'll be able to do it right then and right there. That makes sense to me. What didn't make sense was the upcoming 2.5-hour wait for the ambulance. And why that didn't make sense was because the emergency room was 400 feet around the corner outside the building to another building. I said, listen, I can crawl there on my hands and feet faster than this. Well, we don't want anything to happen to you. Well, in that case, I'm okay with you here, right? It's legally okay? Yeah, no problem. Well, why can't you put me in a wheelchair and wheel me over to emergency? Why do we have to wait for the ambulance? That's the way it's done. And apparently, yeah. And when I got the bill for $1,533 for a 400-yard trip,
Yikes.
I thought,
Yeah.
now that I don't have to pay that. Thank God Kaiser doesn't charge for inter-department transfer. But somebody's paying that. You know, I mean,
Right.
what's that all about? Anyway, I'm there. They do blood tests, a flurry of EKGs and all this stuff, and they determine nothing because they left me alone for the next 5 hours. except for one sympathetic nurse who came in about 3 p.m. Now, remember, I hadn't eaten since Sunday. It is now Wednesday at 3 p.m.
And this is after your procedure?
Oh, yeah. And I said, by the way, is there any way I could get a sandwich? I was
my
starving.
God.
And I knew it was wrong. My electrolytes were out of balance. Well, it took them until 6:30 p.m. to figure that out. And by 8:30, I'm like, y'all better bring me that slip to sign out because I am leaving here. And they finally said, no, it's okay. You can go. It was the longest. I was in an emergency, apparently, in the emergency room. So they left me there. And if you've ever spent any time in an emergency, that's a lot of fun. But people are screaming and yelling at the doctors and all the other stuff that goes on in there. Yeah, so that was, but I have a strong heart. And so I'm happy about that,
You know, if you didn't have a heart problem going in, I'm surprised I would have been so raging.
Yeah, I would have been too. And the truth is, I was done. Don't ever put me in a hospital bed for longer than 5 hours. I'm going to go insane.
No doubt.
Yeah, so, if it comes to my time, I hope it's quick. Because I ain't going to linger. I hate that. However, we got some new stuff at the radio station. Some new folks. We've been joined by some brand new interns. Tanisha and Morgan are our two interns that'll be joining us during the semester, and we're very proud to have them on board. They've already recorded some PSAs that are on the air. They've recorded some IDs that you'll hear on the air as well. And they're going to be doing some feature reporting for us, both on video and on audio. So we're very proud of our association with the Long Beach Journalism Initiative in cooperation with the longbeachpost.com. And it's going well. So I'm happy to report that that's something new that went on. And then,
excellent.
And then, as you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, it dropped. And that is that we lost our playout computer, which was we purchased it in August, put it in service in December, and in February, it went. So, of course, we dismantled it and we shipped it back to them. And they told me, we're really sorry. We're really good about this sort of stuff, but it happens and you got unlucky. And so here's your money back. And I went, wait a minute. I still don't have a computer for my radio station. So we're purchasing that. And this time we're going to do something a little better. So in other words, out of a negative, we're going to make a positive. And one of the other positives we found, if you've listened to the radio station, you've been hearing a lot of repeated shows of our 1 hour hosts, our music shows, our talk shows. We're scattering them around the clock, and it sounds great. If you haven't listened, take a listen. Stay here. We're inserting all the current shows in their regular scheduled time, so you won't miss anybody. But it's kind of nice to hear that instead of just music. So that's been another positive out of a negative. So, but the poor computer committed suicide right there, and the poor thing. If you've ever spent time in our downtown bunker studios, maybe just got lonely. Who knows? We're back in full force with you right here for your weekend, and with all kinds of the craziness that has been going on around us. There's the craziness that's been going on around us. That's the stuff that's been happening.
And then there's the craziness going on around us.
To point in contention here, I'll let you know. I've got right in front of me an actual real newspaper. And it's the headline from the Long Beach Press-Telegram this week on Thursday. And it screams out, measles is making a comeback in the U.S. Well, who would have thunk it? Because this sucker was eradicated in the year 2000. 25 years later, what are we at the effect of? Can anyone guess? Yeah.
I don't want to get a vax.
Yeah.
The fact that vaccinations have become controversial is amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. And
I know, but polio just happened. There's people in Congress who were affected by polio.
Right.
Whose lives were saved by that vaccine. And we're acting like it never happened. You don't even have to read to know about that one. Just watch Mitch McConnell walk around and melt in front of us.
To all those people that denied science 25 years ago and for the next 25 years following, science told us what was going to happen way back 20 years ago when it started. And guess what? It's happening. Here it is right here in the headlines. Measles is making a comeback in the U.S. Because people don't believe in vaccines. Well, vaccines believe in you because if you want to keep yourself from getting it, go get a vaccine. Especially if you have kids under 5, for God's sakes, run to get a vaccine.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a
Here's-
terrible disease.
Here's
them,
the deal.
yeah.
When I was in the hospital, I had a lot of time to think, obviously. And I'm thinking,
I feel you.
I had every COVID booster shot, every COVID shot
Yeah.
that you could possibly get. I'm totally up to date. I probably had, 8 or 9 of them since it all started, right? So
Yeah, you're right.
technically, going into the hospital should have killed me, right?
Oh, my
Based
God.
on-
Oh, yeah. Hey,
based on all of the nonsense,
Yeah.
I should be dead right now. But everything went smoothly,
Right.
and the COVID shot didn't get me. So I when they say, oh, you're gonna get your body in trouble if you take those COVID shots, I'm living proof.
I hate to break it to you, but it wasn't that. It was the candle that we lit before you went into the hospital.
Oh,
Right.
The blessed
Right.
candle that I got from the church.
Well, and what kills me is the anti-vaxxers are using it as like a freedom of a
Right.
medical freedom. It's my choice to put in my body. Now, women, they don't get to choose their bodies. You know what I mean? Like it does.
Yeah.
How conveniently they apply that rule. It's not about safety. It's about my medical rights.
and
It's like,
how they go, the government shouldn't interfere. Well, yeah, I agree. So guess what? Leave that choice up to the parents. And if you're going to go to school with kids who aren't unvaccinated, your kids, I'd pull them out. I'd homeschool them. That may be easier said than done, yes, but
well, they're doing that too.
yeah, exactly. And what do you think? Here we are, and we've had so much information from the only nonprofit that gives us any great news about our heart, the American Heart Association, for the last 25 years has said, if you cut out the fats in your diet, you'll live longer, right? Nobody's contested that. But lately, and especially if you're watching Fox News, you would have seen RFK Jr. on there being served a burger and fries and praising the merits of beef tallow. So, in other words, open the floodgates. You're free to cook with lard. And this is sponsored by Forest Lawn.
Well, that's the thing is
What madness?
it's Darwin, man.
What is this?
It's that these I feel for the children, but as far as the people that are choosing
Yeah.
to risk their lives with these diseases are one thing. But in Texas, right, that one guy that was head
yeah.
of some private school was celebrating the lowest immunization rate in the country. And Texas has the highest measles outbreak right now.
Right,
So yay you.
Yeah.
Like
And what does it give you?
what does it give you?
Especially if we're thinking about little kids, right? For us, we're going to get uncomfortable if we get it. I don't remember. Have you had measles? Do you know?
I think I had it when I was a child.
And
I think that was before they'd really, they'd handled it at that point.
So I have all the immunizations, right? That's
you
the MMR, measles, rubella, measles, mumps, rubella. So schools are requiring the MMR. They were.
Today, my mother would probably be picked up by Child Protective Services. But what she did back then was when she had 9 of us, when one of us got something, she'd throw us all in a room together so we'd all get it. And I know if she heard this, she'd say, oh, I didn't, but you did. I remember. Because I was part of that. That's how I got measles. In other words, we all got measles together when we were in our early ages, after 5, of course, because it's dangerous.
Right.
And then came the vaccinations and everything that was necessary. And we went to public schools where they did all that. So, and that was the government. So, it's your own fault, anti-vaxxers, if you get any measles in your family, especially since we know how to fix that. That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But also, this past week, because we want to make sure that we keep our mouthpiece going regarding all the stuff that you're not seeing or maybe seeing on page 16 of the newspaper or whatever you read, because all the smashing headlines about Trump and this and that and the other are always up front. But one thing to keep in mind is that the U.S. Supreme Court this week has weakened rules on discharge of raw sewage into the water supply. So since 1972, since I was a sophomore in high school, we've been protected by presidential environmental acts from making our drinking water clean. That's made possible. Now they want to undo it. Actually, they did undo it this past week with another presidential proclamation saying, let's dismantle that. We don't need that. So more sewage in your water?
Yum.
Yeah, that's what you're voting for.
It's recycling.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, there could be some. Yeah. And of course, don't you love those displays that go, we've put this through several hundred processors. And my thought would be, then you drink it first.
Right. Yeah. So what is the number? Like, how much raw sewage do you want?
You don't want to know.
Right.
Because
I know.
you would measure that against your community water and you would never, ever drink water again. So, this is all the stuff they say we don't need, especially all the other stuff on consumers' protections, on protections against another, what do they call it, bank bailout. Again, all that's being removed just because we got to make some money and we got to make the money on the banks of y'all. Just want to make sure we don't forget that. And that's why I bring it up.
And people picked this.
Yeah. But I don't want to ruin your weekend. So.
Oh, thanks.
Sorry, you already have.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. So we're going to make a turn right here because we have just had released into our hands this very hot moment a news release, and I'm going to let Melanie introduce it.
I am officially a songwriter, which is so amazing to me. And I wrote a song with my friend Chad Bishop. I wrote the lyrics. He did the tune, and then we worked on it together. And it's the first one of many. And it's called Let's Figure It Out.
Truly hate to see you running round in tears underneath the dark black sky, along with all your fears. Everywhere you go, you're followed by the shame. You could come home, baby, if you just quit the game. Come home, baby, we'll figure it out. Come home, baby, let's figure it out. Come home, baby, let's figure it out. Come on home. Don't even know why I got so mad. I don't even care where you've been. I don't believe that it got so bad that you had to leave again. I'm in here, you're out there crying in the wind. I'll leave the back door open so that you can come right back in. Come home, baby, let's figure it out. Come on home so we can figure it out. Come home, baby, let's figure it out. Come on home. Know you blew it, thinking about yourself. Lift your head just enough to think of someone else. We both out here searching for an easy way to live. Life is hard, darling, but I'm ready to forgive. Come home, baby, we'll figure it out. Come home, baby, let's figure it out. Come home, baby, we'll figure it out. Come on home, let's figure it out. Take a little time for a smoke and a drink. Tomorrow we can think. Tonight, come on home, baby. Let's figure it out.
It's Mornings on the Beach. Back with you for a Saturday, Sunday morning. If you want to refresh your beverage of choice for the morning and be with us, we're hoping we're making your morning a little better. That's our intention. We want to make you laugh at life because that's probably the best way to go through it. and there's plenty to laugh about.
Or cry.
Yeah, fine line.
The other news I thought was really funny, and I love it, when somebody just blusters about something, and then they're caught up by everyone who says, well, you didn't think that through. And this past week, they were talking about the Trump administration and his movement to end woke. And of course, he can bluster all he wants, but what does it really mean when he says he wants to end woke? And do you know what woke means? Like, what would be your definition? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
I think woke means seeing the effect of maybe your behavior or a system's behavior on the marginalized communities.
Yes. And, that's kind of accurate. It's about protecting that. It's about recognizing it. And the term came to us in the 1800s when they were talking. Oh. Yeah. Did you know that? I didn't.
I didn't either.
And it started in the it started in the late 1800s, then into the early 1900s. And this my mouth is
easy
not
for
working.
You to say.
No. Blues musician Leadbelly invoked the phrase in his song Scottsboro Boys that was about black teens who were falsely accused of raping white women in Scottsboro, Alabama. Mm. In the song, musician Leadbelly warns of the South. I advise everybody to be a little careful when they go down there. Stay woke. Keep your eyes open. And of course, most recently made part of the Black Lives Matter movement, invoking stay politically aware of systemic injustices and protest police killing black people. That's where it went. Okay, now it means to get rid of anything that they deem as not within their platform, so to speak. But what they don't realize, and this is what everyone's telling them, is, actually you're saying don't be understanding of anybody's other relationship or any other injustices. Just ignore them. And they're basically making that argument to go ahead and ignore them by saying what they're saying. So,
right.
What I love is there are people that are not going to stay silent when he says something stupid.
Well, don't you think that's his intention, though, is to say don't be aware of anybody else's feelings because we don't care? It seems like he's using it right to me because he doesn't want us to be aware.
But he doesn't want to say that, but that's exactly what he's saying. And that's what's being pointed out in this article in HuffPost, is that he's actually saying it out loud and he's not making any jokes about it. But that's who we've got in charge of our country at the moment. Someone who's not sensitive. And I would say there's a large majority in this country that includes, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, and they're proud of it.
Yeah. And so waking up to reality and waking up to the reality that the system is unfair and that we collectively can do something about it. That's what they're saying is the way to be woke nowadays. Just to be, to have a little empathy. I think that's one of the best things.
That was good. What I was going to say is that to me, the umbrella of all of this is just having empathy for people and for their situation.
Or treat people how you want to be treated. That's it. We learned it in kindergarten.
Why is that so hard? I don't understand. Right? Why is that so difficult? And it's one of those, what side are you on when it comes to where do you get your news? And I am with Mike. I'm starting to get it from the late night comedians because that's the only place I can handle it.
It's the best.
And, Steve Colbert, always on point. Also, if you're watching Bill Maher, he made a suggestion recently about which candidate the Democrats should run for president. And this was amazing to me, especially if you followed him in the news. And he's talking about John Fetterman, right?
Oh.
Running him. He said, he mentioned how he chose to go to Mar-a-Lago after Trump won instead of curling up in a ball. He said, and he thinks this is the guy that wears sweatpants and hoodies into Congress until they told him he couldn't. But he's saying that would make a good candidate. And right now, nobody else is saying anything about making a good candidate.
Well, you know what he's trying to do. Yeah, I see what he's trying to do, where like there's someone in between a
Right.
Democrat and a Republican as far as how much you're willing to respect
Right.
people. But I don't think that's the move.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is
So
the only time we need a third party is the only answer is more parties, and this is the best chance
Yeah.
we've had.
which one would you
I
join?
don't know. I don't know that there's a chance for a third party. We're
I
just
don't
too
know.
ingrained.
I know, but we just got started. Ask me in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right. In 3 years, when there's been more Luigi's, when when even the MAGAs aren't getting their disability checks. You know what I mean? Like eventually this
Yeah,
is going to roll to
exactly.
people who didn't understand what Social Security really meant aren't going to get their checks.
Yeah.
And that kind of desperation can bring about something else. But we got time before that.
Why not a women's party?
Psh, tell me about it.
You know what I mean? Aren't they?
America doesn't like women.
Well, let's find out.
We just did. We just did.
But what I mean
out.
is, harness the power and aim it at something. You know what I mean? Is that
Yeah.
Because I think that's what we, as Democrats, we don't know how to do that. I mean,
Not at all.
We
That's
Right.
that's the big problem right now is the Democrats, and you hear this on the late night comics as well. They're starting to point their fingers at the Democrats too as being completely ineffective, and they are. They're completely ineffective at the moment.
Yeah.
But this was a whole new machine. This cult-like following of people who didn't require the truth. Right. Trump supporters didn't care about the truth.
Right.
So I think that what do you do then? We kept proving his point, remember on the Democratic National Convention, like giving facts and interviews and they don't, that doesn't win this crowd. So what does? Do we go with insults like they do?
I think you got to be a lot more flamboyant than a Chuck Schumer.
Oh,
or,
for sure. The baby boomers got to get out.
The people that are running the party right now just don't have it.
Yeah.
Obama was the only president born after 1947 that we have ever had.
Oh, wow. You're right.
That was 1947 was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now we have Zuckerberg and Musk running the country, and nobody understands even what's like with hacking and technology. And nope, are you kidding me? Those people grew up on phonographs and whatever, right?
Right. Wow.
It's just I was a little more hopeful. Well, never mind. I was about to go too dark.
No.
I was a little more hopeful because sometimes I take this kind of Thanos perspective of humanity, right? Which is if there were just fewer people and you took out
got
the
it.
emotional, not my mom, not your mom, but just numbers, we would benefit. And if COVID really took out boomers, it would have changed the face of
Wow.
America in the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
If it went through the Senate and Congress and took out anybody over 70, right? 65?
Yeah.
You'd
Then
be doing the show by yourself.
but so obviously, I mean, as a cold-hearted
I understand.
perspective,
Yeah, I do understand. And that would have changed the makeup of the country for sure.
in the snap of a finger. And there's a reason that it's hard to get a new job when you're 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, and I don't know about you, but coming back to that time in my life where there's a little teeny sneaking suspicion in the back of my stomach somehow that the other shoe's going to drop when this administration went through their last one, and now it's back, and I hate that. I hate that I feel that
and
way.
it's an octopus with shoes, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of shoes to drop.
Yes, and it feels that way, and that's the thing I try to fight.
It's awful.
Again, the one thing that fights it is coming into the present moment, because when you're spinning, thinking about what's going to happen in the future, you ain't here. And that's where, your mind is gone. So bringing it back to the present moment. And I follow that wonderful guidance I got a long time ago. Follow the nose of your dog and put your attention where the nose is. And if you do that,
great.
try it. If you're walking along and you paying attention where he puts his nose every single second, you're in the present moment. Boom, without even thinking about it. It's so awesome. So the dog, once again, man's best friend. I love it.
There's this comic I love. I've saved on my phone, and it's a little stick drawing of a person walking their stick dog, and the person has this big thinking cloud, and there's all these things in it: relationships, money, work, blah blah blah. And the dog has a big thinking cloud, and in it is him walking with the owner.
Aw.
It's so sweet.
And that's it. They are your life. You are theirs. And that's all it takes. And that brings me out of my melancholy whenever I drop into one.
Your community radio station, 99.1 FM KLBP, Long Beach Public Radio.
It's Mornings on the Beach. Over here, it's Danny. Over there,
Mike Stark.
And over here is Melanie Ray.
Melanie brought us somebody really interesting as a guest in the studio, and you're about to find that out.
Today we have a great guest, my friend, Brody Fitzpatrick. Hey, Brody.
Hey, Melanie. So nice.
Now, I met Brody several years ago at a storytelling event, and his story, I learned so much from his story and then our subsequent friendship that I just wanted to share him with everybody.
Well, fantastic. Kick us off a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so it was the community theater, and I told basically a little bit about my childhood and my life, and when I came out as transgender and my subsequent transition into who I am today, the man I am today. I was assigned female at birth. Yeah, I grew up in the Bronx, New York. My father owned a deli, which was a lot of fun. And the neighborhood was changing. It was the 1960s. The Bronx isn't too far from the Stonewall area.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew who I was when I was a kid, but because of everything that was going on in the media, and I knew people who were queer, I didn't understand what I was, but I knew that people who were different like me were hated and prone to violence and rejection. And I already had abandonment issues. My mother had a stroke when I was 6, and she was in the hospital for about 6 or 7 months, and I was sent to live with an aunt. So that brought on some abandonment issues. So I feared, being separated from my clan or rejected from my tribe, my family. So I was an athlete. I love sports. I still do. And that sort of helped me get through a lot. And I became one of New York City's first female firefighters.
Really?
Yeah.
What year was that?
1982.
Yeah, that's early. Wow.
Yeah. There's a documentary called Taking the Heat by Bon Roy. And it's the story about the first women firefighters in New York City. And I am pre-transition in that documentary.
Oh,
Wow.
no. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you get a chance, maybe watch it. It's about 3 hours long, and it tells the whole story about when they opened up the exam to women in 1977 because of Title IX. The New York City Fire Department at that time was giving a pass-fail physical and also a written exam to get on the job. They kept the written exam the way it was, but they changed the physical from pass-fail to make it competitive. And they also restructured it. Before it was something like a calisthenic exam. You do calisthenics with weights and stuff like that. It wasn't the exam that they changed it to, and they changed the exam to make it more difficult to keep women off the job.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what you said that you knew you were different, and you knew that you didn't have a tribe out there. How did you discover your tribe? And I'm only asking because I want to see how different it is from my own journey.
Okay. Well, I actually I met transgender women because I had gotten into recovery, and I was identified as a lesbian. I loved girls from the time I could remember. But I also felt there was like this, like my brain and my body weren't matching up, so there was that. That was really the thing I kept hidden. And I never stated that I was a lesbian. I just dated girls and didn't say anything
Oh,
about
wow.
it.
Yeah.
So I found when I met trans women back on the East Coast, my first reaction was, wait, you're a man and you want to be a woman? Like, why? Like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
was, well, for me, it was just, it wasn't who I was, you know what I mean? And I didn't realize it at the time, but I had repressed it so much that, I wanted to present as a man, and be the person I knew myself to be inside. Like I was never a girl. Like I was never a girl.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
never, and but I was forced to live under certain constraints out of fear. And what I meant before with my tribe, I meant my family, like my family of origin. Like I
Uh-huh.
did not want to be rejected by them because I mean, that's basically was, my security. I had nowhere to go. I didn't know. But when I became 18 and I grew older, I started to move out on my own, and then I became a firefighter when I was a transit cop first,
Uh-huh.
and a New York City transit cop, and then I became a New York City firefighter in 1982. After I moved out here, I started hanging out with people who were trans masculine, and I never did that back east.
Oh,
So I
wow.
was, yeah, hanging out with people who were like me, assigned
Uh-huh.
female at birth, but were trans masculine. One of the people I met, Aka, he had lived, for a year as a man, dressed as a man, binded. He was binding. I never did that. He
Uh-huh.
binded his chest and presented as a man
Wow.
for a year in order for him to be eligible to start hormone therapy. But he never did. He never moved forward with that.
Mhm.
So I was the first one in the group because, so what happened was I was at a party. A friend of mine, a transgender woman, was having a party and she invited me to the party. And it was the first time I met a man who had fully transitioned. And I sat across from him and I just started to cry. I
Wow.
saw my own potential in this guy and I just started
Wow.
crying. That was the first time I said, I'm transgender.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I'm starting to tear up now just like thinking about it because
Yeah. Yeah.
just. And then I told the host, and she was like, "Yes, Brody." I said, I told her I'm transgender, and she's like, "Yes, Brody, we know."
Oh, that's wow. That's your family.
Yeah, and then yeah, yep, and then I found my tribe, and I went to my doctor, my primary care physician, and I told her, that I was transgender, and she asked me if I wanted to see a psychiatrist.
Wow.
And I knew she wasn't the one. And so a couple of months later, I met another transgender man, which is like,
Right in your
when
path.
you're,
Yep.
yeah, when
Yeah.
you're ready, right? When you're ready,
Yeah,
the path
exactly.
opens up. And I asked him who his doctor was. And so I found my doctor, Dr. Christian Varega, in Buena Park at the Metamorphosis Clinic. And I made an appointment to see her in April of 2014 and spent an hour and a half in her office just talking. She told me, you don't have to take hormones. You don't have to have surgery. What do you want to do? We got to talking about each other. And I was like, when my tatas developed, I was playing football, like with shoulder pads and
Oh,
everything.
oh,
And when
wow.
they started to grow, I got so depressed I couldn't play tackle anymore. And I knew I wanted them off. I wanted that. And I wanted to take the hormones and transition. I was also pretty much post-menopause, so I didn't really
Wow.
have
You
a
Oh,
have a lot to
wow.
lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So I have,
That's fascinating.
it is, I know. It's kind of weird now because I'm not misgendered anymore. People see me, I
Right.
present extremely male and masculine. I'm
Right.
binary. I'm not fluid. I'm binary. And so when I say, yeah, I know what menopause is like, they're like, what?
Oh, would you go tell the other men, please?
Yeah, really.
I'd make a great partner, you know?
Yeah, you
Wow. Yeah, well, there's that. Absolutely.
please.
So
Here's our next
I have
radio
two
show.
questions, if I may.
Sure.
One of the first ones is, if you could tell somebody now who's confronting just the thoughts, right? Because there was a long period, I'm sure, where it just over and over in your mind. You have to, it's not something that happens overnight. Is my point.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
If you could tell somebody who's in their room and they're listening and they're thinking yeah, that's me. What's one thing you would tell them?
Well, I would tell them that, I'm available if they want to talk, that not to put off what they already know, that there's compassionate doctors and tons of support out there for them, and that, they don't have to rush into anything. They could figure out what they want, but there's information available for them to make an educated personal choice with how they want to move forward in life.
That is great. And my second question, if I could put you down in front of the most powerful man in the country, Elon Musk. No,
I could take him. I could take that guy.
Yeah, you could.
Well,
you could.
I used to box in the fire department, so I'm not,
Well, let's say
Please put him in front of Elon Musk.
you have, by some miracle, have been selected to represent and spend 5 minutes with him. What's the most important thing you think that someone like that needs to know about what they're doing?
He needs to know how much he's hurting his daughter. He needs to know how his inability to accept her is so hurtful that, he needs to embrace her. That's what I would tell him. That's the first thing, because he has a transgender daughter, and he rejects her. And he uses the wrong pronouns. He's disowned her. And I would tell him how much he is missing.
Wow.
By rejecting her.
Boy, all that information has not made it to Fox News. Interestingly enough. Wow.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a personal one-on-one that I think is important. And that illustrates it right there in his own home. Well, maybe not his home, but in his house, so to speak. And that's a reflection of most Americans. Somebody knows somebody going through a serious either misgendering or identity crisis about who they are and who they love. That's happening all over the country, and you don't have to throw a stone far from your front door to find somebody that that's included in that. So it just boggles the mind, and that has to make a conscious choice to hurt people.
Yeah, I don't know. My family rejected me, my siblings. Well, two of them, actually three of them. My brother, who passed away a couple of years ago, I went to New York and I wanted to visit with him, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't see you. I don't accept you as being a man." And we never spoke again. And he passed away before any reconciliation. And I have two younger sisters who, they just were not present for me. One said, "You're my sister and I love you," like in a very angry way. "You're always going to be my sister."
Wow.
And my younger sister said to me, Bernadette, the baby in the family, she said, "Well, it's not like you have a penis." And I'm like, "Well, I had 4 dildos in my closet." But
Under a dick pic.
But I got a penis now.
What do you think? What do you think is the basis of their choice? Is it that they're just scared of what they don't understand, or is it religion? What do you think?
I don't know. It's fear. It's maybe they see it as a reflection on them. They can't wrap their head around it. I don't know, but
it is interesting to me, the power of it, because, politically, it's such a targeted group. It is the top tier target. And the numbers can't be that high as far as how many transgender
Would
people
make
there
up like
are.
2% of the population. And here's the thing. In the National Collegiate Athletic Association, there is only, out of like 300,000 or 250,000 athletes in the nation, there's only 10 who identify as transgender.
No
only
kidding.
10. Right.
Wow.
Well, it's in the
Exactly.
newspaper, like you'd think it's on every
everywhere.
campus.
Oh yeah, no, everywhere.
And Trump lies. He lies. He had, I just found out today because I didn't watch his address the union speech, but he had a young person, female, that said she was injured, that ended her volleyball career by somebody who was transgender, and it never happened. And she was playing softball and doing another sport after that. It was
right. And not only that, but Trump's a rapist.
Well, he's
so how does he get to say anything? It's infuriating.
And you don't need to storm the Capitol. All you need to do is take some transgender people, try to get into his office, and that'll scare him to death.
When he was first running for president, I'm still in touch with some of the guys from the firehouse that I worked with. There was this one guy who kept contacting me via Facebook, telling me I should vote for Trump. He's going to be good for America, blah, 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 blah. And, and then he also made a comment to me, which is what's going on now, too. He said, you should give your fire pension back. You should give your fire pension back because you got it under false pretenses.
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now, they're trying to get a law passed in some states that it's a felony to be transgender because you're misrepresenting yourself. It's a false identity.
Wow, yeah, whoa.
It's crazy.
On so many fronts. Well, that's a wild. Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show and speaking to us, and stay with us through this. We'd love to hear from you whenever there's an important thing that we need to let our audience know. That's for sure. Brody Fitzpatrick is with us on Mornings on the Beach. And
thank you, Danny. It was nice to meet you.
Sort of meeting online. But, thank you so much for your point of view and bringing that to our attention, because there are things within this interview that I didn't even know. And it's amazing how we get detached with our own thing and don't realize the war that's going on right next to us or next door,
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you,
for
Brody.
inviting me. Melanie, thanks for asking.
Okay.
Wow, that was incredible. Thank you, Melanie, for inviting him over.
Absolutely. He's a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got another piece of music coming up here on the show.
Brand new music from Willie. Willie keeps putting it out.
He does.
I know. Right on, Willie.
This is from an upcoming album, which is a tribute to Rodney Crowell. If you know anything about him, this is a song that Rodney wrote and duets with on this tune. It's called "Oh, What a Beautiful World."
That's Willie's tribute to Rodney Crowell right there on Mornings on the Beach. We want you, by the way, to open your calendar before we leave you this morning, and we want you to write down May 3rd in your calendar to save it for a very special event that KLBP is putting on, and it's called Our Voice Celebration. It's a celebration of community voices, whether that be poets, songwriters, speakers, political activists. We're going to be celebrating spreading and keeping that voice alive with a live broadcast that we'll be producing from the Edison Theater in downtown Long Beach on that evening of May 3rd. So you have the opportunity to come and be part of the audience. We'd love that more than anything. Or if you don't and you want to stay listening from your home, you'll be able to, because it'll be broadcast live right here on KLBP. Of course, if you stay home, we're going to be segmenting it with donation. No.
No, we are.
Every 30 seconds.
We're going to be asking for donations.
That's the whole point of this event, is to keep us alive and keep the voices coming on KLBP. And we really want to invite you to be part of it, whether that's you. Hey, listen, if you're having a party, I want to come help. That'll be great. We'll feed you. We'll give you something to drink. If not, if you want to just come, there'll be more information coming your way at klbp.org in the very near future. We're finalizing plans, getting the lineup, and it's going to be great. So on the way out, let's play some music.
Let's.
Okay. How about Driving and Crying? Well,
Sounds
no.
good.
It's actually a driving and crying song.
Oh, Okay, good.
which they did a tribute to Kevin Kinney, who's the leader and main writer of Driving and Crying. They did a tribute album to him. This is Elizabeth Cook and Jeff Sullivan and Straight to Hell.